my kitchen. My name is Rupert. I'm a nutritionist and I'll be demonstrating a healthy recipe for you to try at home. The recipe we are going to try, or I'm going to demonstrate, is a spicy chili bean. Okay, I will put the ingredients in the recipe at the end of the video with everything, but I'm going to go through the ingredients anyway with you now. So with the recipe, we are using lentils. So these are brown lentils. You can get different types of lentils. The beauty of lentils, they're a good source of protein, they're low in fat, they're a good source of fibre, very, very good for you, and also relatively quite cheap. So if you don't want to use the lentils, or you've never used them before, you can do a 50-50 with meat also. If you're making it for other people and you know they're not going to eat it, then do a 50-50, but you know, they are a very good substitute for meat. And a lot cheaper than meat. So we'll be using lentils. We'll be using a variety of spices, which I've already placed onto this plate. They're just starting to move around now. So we have cocoa powder, which people are surprised, but with the authentic, because chili is Mexican, so authentic chili, they will put chocolate in. So you could either use chocolate, you could use dark chocolate, or you could use cocoa powder. So today I'm using cocoa powder. Also cumin. I don't know if you can see that so good. Cumin, dried coriander, chili powder, and then also chili flakes. So what I want to do for this recipe, I want to have different forms of heat. So the chili flakes will give you a type of heat. Your chili powder will give you a different type of heat as well. So then if you wanted to put black pepper in there, you could also put black pepper in. If you're not a fan of chili, you can make it milder and not put the chili in, and you can just use black pepper. But the recipe is, it still tastes good even if you use black pepper. So we're going to use kidney beans. You could use pinto beans, which will be more authentic, a bit more expensive, or what you could do, a mixture of beans. There is most supermarkets, this is from one of the discount supermarkets, they do a thing called taco mixed beans. So that would be ideal. Also, what I'm putting in this one also is baked beans. You might be surprised, but baked beans is a healthy product really. Good source of protein as well. All beans are a good source of protein and fibre. So the beans, so for this one, I'm using your kidney beans as well as your baked beans. So it doesn't have to be the leading brand of baked beans. You could use a discount one also. It works equally as well. We're also going to be using tin tomatoes. You could use fresh tomatoes. If you wish, if you have enough fresh tomatoes, or you could use passata, which is sieved tomatoes. It works out a bit cheaper because this is a 500 gram box, whereas your tin is about 400 grams, and it's a bit cheaper to buy the sieved tomato, the passata. So that could be, if you try to save a bit of money, you could go for the passata to stretch this recipe a bit more. You could also use, these are plum tomatoes, you could also use chopped tomatoes. It really doesn't make a difference. To add more richness, so if you use a cheaper brand of tomato, then if you get some puree, then a puree would give it that richness of that tomatoey flavour. Okay. So then also we're going to put in there one onion and a few cloves of garlic. Again, it depends on how much you like onion and cloves. So all recipes then for you to adapt. So adapt it to your taste buds or to your family's taste buds, so you enjoy it. There's no point in cooking something and then nobody's going to eat it because you're going to be wasting your money. So make the recipe your recipe. So if you want more chili, put more chili in. If you put less chili in, etc. If you like onions, a bit more onions, more garlic, the same thing. And then lastly, I did mention we have got the ground coriander, but also we're going to use the fresh coriander. Okay, so we're going to finish it with the fresh coriander. If you go to continental shops, then you can buy a big bunch of coriander, far cheaper than if you go to a shop and you'll pay, I think it's like £1.20 for one of these, and £1.20 you'll get a lot more for your money if you go to a continental shop. That's if you live near a continental shop, that is also. Okay, so let us begin with the process. So the first thing we're going to do, so the recipe calls for 120 grams of lentils. So what I've already done, I've already weighed out the lentils. So there's 120 grams of lentils. And then we're going to take your pan, so the pan you're going to use, and then we're going to pour your lentils into the pan and then cover it with water. So make sure all the lentils are covered. You want quite a bit of water as well, because if you leave, when you're preparing the lentils, if you leave the lentils to go dry, it burns the pan. So make sure you've got plenty of water. Okay, so plenty of water in your pan. You can put a pinch of salt in there if you wish as well. And then we're going to put that on the fire. We're going to boil that for about 45 minutes. So this is why we're going to do this first. You can also use that time. So the manufacturer's instructions are saying 45 minutes. So you could then say, right, half an hour I want to boil, and then when you put it in with the rest of your ingredients, that could be part of the boiling time as well. Or you can just leave it for 45 minutes. So I'm going to now put this on the fire and boil it for 45 minutes. And whilst that's doing, we'll start the prep of everything else. Okay? So the lentils are boiling. So as I said, the instructions, the manufacturer's instructions, estimate about 45 minutes. So they're boiling nicely on the stove behind me. So next, we're going to use some vegetable oil, and this is rapeseed. So you could use sunflower oil or rapeseed. Rapeseed would be the one which I would recommend as an everyday oil. If you're using a dressing, then olive oil would be good. But as your everyday oil, rapeseed, and if you look on the back, it will tell you rapeseed. So it's vegetable oil is either going to be rapeseed or sunflower. I would recommend rapeseed because it has a higher burn point. So that way it is it's more healthier because it doesn't burn and increase your saturates. Okay, I won't get too complicated with your saturates and monounsaturates, but pretty much everyday oil to use would be a rapeseed oil. So in the pan behind me, we have the lentils cooking, and then this second pan, I've looked at over the wrong shoulder, over the second pan you have, I put a bit of oil in, I've cut up the onions. You don't need to cut up onions, see me to cut up onions, but I've cut up the onions. So we're going to put the onions into the pan and fry the onions, and also garlic, but I just wanted to show you the cutting of the garlic. Okay, so with your garlic, I'm just going to turn the camera down a bit so you can see this a bit more as well, actually. So what you can do is with the back of the knife, get a large sharp knife, and with the back of the knife just press down on the garlic like so. And what that does, it releases the properties, and also you can see it just takes off the outer skin of the garlic, and it just makes it so much easier for you to chop. So then all you do then is take your knife, minding your fingers, top and tail, see that part's fine, and then again you can then press down again. So what this is doing is releasing the compounds, and the compounds is which your body's going to require. So you're breaking that up, and then your body's going to utilize. It's going to be to use those more efficiently. So the back of the knife, break it down. Okay. Okay. So fry the onions, and then with the onions, we are going to then put in your seasoning. Onions, and they are frying nicely. We can then add a pinch of salt, because the salt actually releases the flavour from the onions and the sweetness from the onions. So if you're putting salt in, I'll put a pinch in there now. So put a pinch of salt in there. So in your pan, we have now the onions frying, which are looking quite good. And your lentils are still boiling. So we're going to just making sure with your lentils you don't run out of water, as I said earlier. Keep your eye on the lentils, make sure there's plenty of water. So in your onions, now what we're going to do, the chopped garlic is going to go into there. So your chopped garlic goes in, like so. So all the garlic. I love garlic, very good for you as well. So garlic goes in. Give that a stir. I probably left those onions just a little bit longer than that I would have. As you can see, they're browning slightly, but it's still fine, that's okay. So give those a stir. So now once your garlic is in with your onions, weighed out your different spices. As I said, we have your cocoa powder. If you haven't got cocoa powder or you want more of a rich chocolate, you could use dark chocolate, that would also work. Your cumin, your ground coriander, and then there are your different spices, sorry, your different types of chili. So you've got powdered chili and we've got chili flakes. So we're going to put those in there right now. So what I'm going to do with this, well, what I should suggest is if you're not too keen on the heat, then just put a little bit in. It's always easier to add more chili if you wish than it is to take away the heat. So we're going to put in your different spices. So in they go. In with your onions. So your coriander, cumin, cocoa powder, and your chili powder and your chili flakes. So that all goes into your pan, like so. And as I said, because we are using, so as you can see, as we're going to be using the lentils, so you've seen it's kind of chocolate, it looks more like a chocolate oaty crunchy bar now, and that's what we're looking for to get it, because that's the cocoa powder. So like I said, you could use chocolate, and that smells delicious. But just be mindful that if you make your pan go dry, it will smoke and you will start to choke. So I would advise to have a bit of water nearby and just put a little bit of water in. That stops it from burning and stops the pan from going dry. So in there, I've just put a little bit of water. As you can see, it started to sizzle. And sorry, I didn't mention about the fire. So we're on about a medium heat. So a medium heat. In is all your spices now. And we're going to give that a stir. So I'm just going to go out to shop for 1 second to get the tomatoes. So now you can put in your tomatoes and your beans. With your lentils still cooking, that's why I mentioned about doing it earlier. So until the lentils are cooked for at least 30 minutes, keep them on the other ring and then add those to your pan. Okay, so excuse me 1 second, I want to go and get the tomatoes. So we have the beans and your tomatoes, and we'll add those now, and then add those to this pan, and then keep them in. So the lentils are now bubbling quite nice again. So I'm just going to put a bit more water in for the lentils. Sorry, I've just come out of shop, because as I've said, you don't want the lentils to go dry. So put a bit more water into your lentils. Keep your eye on the lentils, and you know when the lentils are done because they start to split and they start to swell. If you put too much lentils in, what you can do, you can batch freeze them as well. So it's good that you can batch freeze them. So, you know, you're not going to be wasting anything. So into your pan now, I'm going to put in the passata, the sieved tomatoes. So I chose to use that rather than the plum tomatoes because it's going to go further. So I'm going to batch cook this recipe. I put it in the freezer and I'll have it for another day. So, and I'll give some away to the family as well. That's the sort of person I am. I'll be giving some away to the family also. So in goes the passata, sieved tomatoes. Give that a stir. And it doesn't really make a difference in what order you put these in. This is just the way I'm doing it. So I put in now your sieved tomatoes. And what I'm going to do also, I've got some tomatoes, if you can see here. They're looking a bit worse for wear. And because we use passata, I'm going to use these tomatoes also to bulk it out a bit and to add that chopped feel, so you can actually add tomatoes to be chewing on, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to give a quick wash. I'm going to just go out to shot 1 second. So give those a quick wash. So with all fruit and veg, you want to give it a wash before you use it. So just going to roughly chop those in half, like so. So just chopping the tomatoes in half. These are cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to add those into the pan also. So the kidney beans, so we're going to use the kidney beans. I've drained them. So now just add your kidney beans into your pan, like so. I'll give that a wash, ready for recycling later. So now you have your kidney beans, your tomato, sieved tomatoes in your pan. Then your beans, like I said, it doesn't really make a difference what type of beans you use. So like this is not the leading brand, but it is a well-known brand of beans. But like I've said, you could use a discounted supermarkets beans, and I've used those before and they work perfectly well. You just, you know, you've got the texture, you've got the beans here, or you can get the mixed bean product already. Again, it will cost you a little bit more, so if you want to save a bit money, just baked beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, as I said, would all work. So into your pan now, you have your different variety of beans. You could pop chickpeas in there as well. Chickpeas would work, and they go in. So we're still waiting on your lentils to boil. So that now, so we're just going to let this simmer, waiting for your chickpeas to be finished. Then we're going to add your lentils to this pan of your sauce, your beans, and then we're going to let that boil a bit more, and then add the coriander. Okay, so if we come back in, I'm going to say in about 10 minutes, it should be, the lentils should be cooked, and then we can carry on with the process. Okay, so I'll see you in 10 minutes. You can see the lentils now have started to split, so this is what you're looking for. So after about half an hour, 45 minutes, they'll start to split. As you can see, it's swollen quite a lot. So again, it's good that you can batch cook, and you can freeze the lentils if you've done too much. So now, that there, as you can see, is ready to be added to the tomatoes and the beans. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to transfer that to the tomatoes and the beans, and then pretty much it's more or less done. Welcome back. I've also got my lunch on the go as well. So these I'm having boiled egg and toast. So this isn't part of the recipe. If you're wondering why has he got eggs on the stove as well, is because I'm multitasking and my lunch is on the go, which is some boiled eggs. Okay, so the lentils now are cooked, as you can see. So they've started to split, they've started to swell, and then we're going to add this to the beans and the sieved tomatoes. So in terms of how much, it depends on what consistency you want your chili bean to look like. So I'm going to add probably 3 ladles, and then I'll give it a stir and see what it looks like. So you can use the water still. The water is going to have flavour, but I'm just draining a bit of it off. And then into there go 3 ladles. So now, if you see, so again, just making sure you stir, because once you've added the lentils to the tomatoes, it will stick to the bottom of the pan if you're not careful. So just be mindful of that. And then again, the additional cooking with the tomatoes would cook the lentils. So if you think, oh, have I been cooking the lentils for 45 minutes, you're going to cook it further in your tomatoes as well. So I'm going to add another 2, because I want my consistency of my chilies to be a bit more. So I want it a bit thicker, basically. So I'm going to add another 2 spoons of lentils. So as you can see now. So I have got quite a lot of sauce in there. And again, I want more. So I could in fact put another tin of kidney beans in there, and I probably will do actually, because it is a chili bean after all, and I like to see a bit more chili beans in there. So I'm going to add another spoonful of lentils. I'm going to add another 2. So, and I'm going to transfer this to the back fire. So turn that one off, put this one onto this one. As you can see now, this is the consistency. I don't know, the steam's started to take over now, so hopefully you can see that. Yeah. So every spoonful, what I want to see, I want to see lentils and I want to see beans in every spoonful. So I'm just going to add the last bit of the lentils, sorry, get mixed up here. So the last bit of the lentils and the rest of it, what's left, I will put in a container and I'll freeze it. So that goes into there like so. And then one last thing, so with your fresh coriander, so I've chopped the coriander, so you don't have to chop it, you can just rip it and put it in there, it's entirely up to you, but you put your fresh towards the end. So the powdered spices want to go in as soon as possible, and then your fresh, if you can put them in towards the end, that will be even better. So we've got the fresh coriander in there now. Adds a bit of colour to the dish as well. So as you can see in there now, so you've got the tomatoes, some of the cherry tomatoes are put in there as well. So now you've got the coriander. That's looking quite good, I think, if I may say so myself. So I will now put another tin of kidney beans in there, only because I think it deserves another tin. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. And there it is, finished. So I've placed into the pan now the coriander. So the coriander, and I put another tin of beans in. So like I've said, when you lift it up, what I like to see is to see the different types of food which is in there. So you pick it up and you can see the kidney beans, you can see the lentils, and you can see the baked beans. And to me, that shows it's enough. It's quite enough. So I need to taste it. So let us give it a taste. So be mindful, it's going to be very hot, very, very hot indeed. So just be mindful of not to burn yourself. Wow, it's got a bit of a kick. If you want to then add a bit more salt, and you don't want to put more salt in, if that makes sense, you can put lemon in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a drop of lemon in there. So excuse me 1 second while I enter my fridge. And I'm going to put a drop of lemon in there. So it takes away the need for salt. So I'm going to put a little bit of lemon in, like so. Give that a stir. It's got the spice, and I'm going to give it another taste. Like so. Much better. So that bit of lemon, I think, has made it just how I would like it. So again, with your lentils, just make sure once they're into the pan, keep stirring, because they will stick to the bottom if you're not careful, and it will burn. So I've turned it down to on a low setting now, and I would just leave it on there for about 5 minutes, and it's all ready. So in terms of what to eat it with, you can have it with jacket potato, goes very, very well. Jacket potato with cheese goes well. You can have it with pasta. You can have it with rice, so rice and sweet corn salad. You can have nachos, so nachos themselves, if you get nachos, put them in a baking tray, cover them with cheese, not too much cheese, because you don't want too much cheese, because cheese is high in fat, so a moderate amount of cheese with some jalapenos, some chili flakes, into the oven for about 5 minutes, just so the cheese melts, and then you can have the nachos as well. So nachos, jacket potato, pasta, rice, they all work very well with the chili. And that lends itself to be very good, because if you do batch foods, you're not going to have the same thing all the time. So you're having different things, so it's a different meal, and you won't get bored of it. And again, I've done this demonstration for children, adults, and everybody enjoys it. So even if you've got young children, probably then put a bit more beans in, and they would like the fact that they can recognise something if they're not used to the lentils. But on the whole, it's a quick, easy recipe. Tasty recipe, nutritious, very filling, and good for you as well, because it combines a lot of good ingredients. As I mentioned, the lentils, the kidney beans, the baked beans, good sources of fibre, good sources of protein, low in fat as well. So I think that is all now. I don't think there's anything else. So my eggs are done. So my boiled eggs are actually finished now. So I've turned that off. So I'm going to have myself some lunch. I'm going to leave this on the fire. Let me just show you that there. If you can see there, that's a bit better. So I'm going to leave that on the fire now for probably about 5 minutes. Again, just make sure you keep stirring it because it will stick to your bottom for 5 minutes, and that's ready. I'll let that cool. Put it in trays and I'll freeze it, and I'll have some for my dinner later today. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Adios.